Hey guys, now that 2011 is wrapping up, we can now welcome in the new year, 2012. Now, I have some pretty grim predictions to make of my own. I don't think any of the current situations that are taking place now will get any better in 2012. So I'm going to address three topics today. Just really quick, I want to make this video less than 10 minutes because I know I tend to get off the rails and talk about other things and other facts, and well, I need to stay focused. So, first prediction: the primaries for the Republican presidential race, it's going to come down to Romney versus Paul. That's what it is. The other candidates are sideshows and they're done, at least by Super Tuesday, which is on March 6th. Now, this is what's going to happen. I think Paul is most likely going to win Iowa next week, which will help his chances in New Hampshire, but who knows? Because then the establishment media will fire up, just get all fired up about it. They will try to use everything against him. I mean, right now they're already doing all this racist newsletter stuff that's been debunked over and over again and really hasn't affected anybody's opinion. And it just hasn't worked at all. So they're going to have to try something new, and they will try something new right after he wins in Iowa. Fox News, everyone on that network, their heads will explode. All of the Republican presidential candidates, even some of the classy ones like Romney, they'll just freak out on him, and it's going to be total mayhem. And I think this is something that we are going to see be dragged on till like the very last primaries that take place in June. And I hate to say it, but I think the establishment will not allow Ron Paul to win. My biggest fear is that in reality, Mitt Romney will end up winning the nomination, unfortunately. And then Romney goes up against Obama, and Obama wins re-election. That's my prediction. Now, you say, well, why won't anyone support Romney? Nobody gets excited with Mitt Romney. It's like John McCain, except the only people that got excited about John McCain was the fact that he picked Sarah Palin. That was the only reason people got excited about John McCain, or maybe that was the reason why people were driven away. I mean, you ask different individuals, they'll tell you why. But with Romney, he doesn't excite anybody. I can easily see Obama just winning re-election. I mean, obviously not in a landslide like he did in 2008, but in 2012, he's still going to win. And you say, well, why are you saying that? I'm saying that because, look, personally speaking here, I'm not going to be voting for either one of those two. I won't be voting for Romney or Obama if it comes down to that. I will be voting third party, either the Libertarian candidate or Constitution Party candidate. And here's some hope for us. I think, speaking as a Paul supporter, if Ron Paul doesn't win, well, it's not the end of the world. I'm more for the philosophy than the man. That's what I'm about. I'm for the philosophy and the ideas rather than the individual. People think that I just follow this guy because he's some type of messiah. Well, you're mistaken. That's what Obama supporters do. They just followed him because he looked nice, he talked well, basically fluff and stuff. And he could give a great speech, which I never understood how his speeches are so great. There's no substance. And they voted for him based on who he was as an individual, but not based really on his policies. I'm voting for Paul because I am voting for him based on the substance and his philosophy more than just the individual. As an individual, he's also a very good guy, but I don't focus much on that. I don't care. If he was a thrice divorced person, I don't think my opinion would be any different. If he wasn't a doctor and instead, let's say he was a businessman, my opinion wouldn't be any different, because if he still had the same positions on the issues, I'd still be supporting him. So, okay, I'm getting off track here. Look, there is somebody else we could look forward to in 2012, and I think he could be a spoiler. I think he could be a huge third-party candidate, and that's Gary Johnson. Last week, Gary Johnson dropped out of the Republican race to run as a Libertarian for the Libertarian presidential nomination. And I think that nomination process takes place in the spring of next year. So if it's not Paul, then I'm banking on Johnson, and I will vote for Johnson. Even though his chances, I think, are somewhat slim, but you can expect millions of people to vote for him in 2012 because they'll be so disgruntled with a rhino like Romney that many conservatives and people who have been fed up with the Republican Party will just go over to Johnson because they'll be like, wow, you guys didn't learn your lessons from 2006 and 2008. That's really great. And you didn't see what happened in 2010. Now you just ignore it with the Tea Party and all. Well, now we'll just vote for Johnson. That's what we'll do. And that's what I'll do. If Paul is not the nominee, which, you know, I don't know if it's going to happen because the establishment is hell-bent on not letting that happen, then Johnson is the guy I will be voting for. And I think he will be a very, very huge contender. I think bigger than most third-party candidates are in a usual election year, but I think next year's election will be very unusual in many ways. That's my first prediction. So moving away from the election stuff, remember this year we saw all of the uprisings and protests in North Africa and in the Middle East, such as with Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Bahrain, Yemen. I mean, the list goes on and on. Well, I think the country of focus next year is going to be Russia. Currently, right now, there are thousands of protesters going up against Putin. And I think it's only going to escalate when the election in that country, I think it's in March, when Putin is again running for president again in the country. Now he's prime minister right now, and Medvedev is the president. So now Putin wants to go from prime minister and go back to a third term as a president in the country. And, you know, there's going to be all of these allegations of voter fraud and corruption. And then that could be the next, you know, they're calling it right now in the media, they're calling it the Russian winter. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But I think what we're seeing right now with Russia and the protests, they're only going to escalate into the following year. And now to the third one, will there be another potential war that the United States will be involved with? This year, the new war that we got involved with was in Libya when we joined NATO forces, which totally unconstitutional. I totally opposed it. And now it's, I think what we're seeing right now, from what the war propaganda is going on and recent news stories that have come out, I don't know if it's either going to be some kind of conflict taking place with either Syria or, I mean, I pray to God, not Iran. You know, who knows which one will happen. But I don't know if it's either going to be Syria or Iran. But I know some type of conflict is going to take place next year. I just don't know exactly with what country. You know, and if not a war, then definitely escalations of tensions between the United States and one of those two countries, either Syria or Iran. So this video might have gone on a little longer than I, had hoped for, but leave me your thoughts on what your 2012 predictions are. Obviously, don't tell me this end of the world stuff, December 21st, blah, blah, blah. Don't give me that Hollywood crap. But do tell me, what do you think will happen in 2012? What are some of the potential things that will take place? I want you to respond to my 3 predictions. What are your thoughts on the upcoming United States election? Do you think Russia is going to see the next uprising? Just like we saw uprisings in the Middle East and North Africa, do you think Russia will be the next one? Or do you think some other country will face it, that I probably left out and I didn't remember at the time? And do you think the United States will be involved in another conflict next year, and with whom and why? And then a 4th question I would add in is, what do you think is going to happen? Make a prediction that I wasn't able to predict. Maybe like with the economy or with Europe. We know many European nations are just going down into debt. The euro is crashing. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Do you have any predictions on those topics? I wasn't able to provide one, but I would like to hear your prediction. Okay, so please respond to those, and thank you for watching, and hopefully a Happy New Year. But I kind of doubt it. But personally, make it a Happy New Year. Personally, for yourself, make it a Happy New Year. For the world, I don't know.